This is Rydo, and we are back to another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, October 23rd. For me, it is 7 o'clock in the evening, and we are streaming and going through the news. So I am lucky enough to get 4 packs in each of my servers. So I got 4 Frozen Throne packs for the America server. I'm going to get 4 for the European server here. And I might even get lucky enough and get 4 for the Asian server. And that is going to be a lot more helpful than you would think for these new free-to-play accounts. So we did a trade out and that didn't really change anything. I need to play 10 pirates and cast 40 spells and win 2 games with Druid or Rogue. Now, because this is Monday, I actually only have to get 2 things done. I got all 3 things done on the America server, I guess. Oh well. Ideally, I do want to have everything done on Monday, because Monday streams work better than Friday streams. But I don't know if that really changes much. Druid and Rogue. But let's start with Pirates after we open card packs. Card pack opening time. And on this account, even though I'm going to be getting 20 cards, I wouldn't be surprised if there's only 1 or 2 extra that I can turn into dust. It'd be nice to get a legendary, but it really wouldn't do too much. I believe on this account also I was disenchanting legendaries to make common cards, and I was definitely disenchanting goldens to make more common cards. So I'm attempting different strategies in an effort to see what is the best way to get a new account up. So crafting, we have 1 that we can disenchant for dust, and then we can go gold. Is it GOLD or golden? It is golden. So if I take the 1 golden I have that I can get rid of, which isn't any of these uncraftable cards, but I can go ahead and check this. Yeah, disenchant this one. And disenchant this one. And what we can do now is go into craft, go here, select classic cards because those are the ones I want, and we're trying to go for just a diversity spread. So anything that is a common would be nice, but rares would be really expensive to do. Let's see. Common. I think I've got all the common neutrals that are classic cards. And I think I was even working off the thought of getting rid of duplicates, which would only give me 5 dust anyways. So here's one we can create for 40 dust. Here's one we can create for 40 dust. Here's one we can create for 40 dust. And you can pretty well tell we haven't even started on the paladin. And the idea here is just to have as many options as possible. And what else do we have new? So many cards missing. Twisting Nether. I could disenchant that for like 100 and make 2 more common cards. Probably not a smart move, but that's what we're doing. Pirates now. Pirates. Now, these accounts don't really have any special decks built at all. So, rogue here, and then pirate might actually be very difficult to do with only 5 pirates in the entire collection. And then we can do draw cards to try to increase the odds. So rolling bones, sure. Draw a card, that, and that. This one. The draw cards are some of the best cards you should have for an odd reason. Like, and that fills out most of our collection. And then the last thing we need is just some more spells. And that gives us 30. So this custom rogue works us towards at least 2 of the goals. So we can play that. Might as well play ranked and move on. I have only 1 ranked win with that character. That is crazy, but it is a new account too, so. Moving back to the video game news. Double Fine is bringing the toy box puzzle game called G&OG to Steam next month, which it seemed very odd that it was released for PS4 early and then went to PC. It seems like an odd exclusive in the first place, and it seems like an odd thing to do just in general. But I guess PlayStation is trying some different things, trying to keep people happy, trying to maintain some exclusives. The Super NES Classic Style Nintendo new 3DS XL is coming to North America in November 27th. So it's a new 3DS XL, which that is, boy, that's a lot of words. It's the new Game Boys. For very old people, the 3DS Game Boys in the extra large mode, painted to look like a Super Nintendo, which I don't know why they didn't do a Nintendo version of that, and I don't know who. As someone who doesn't really feel like the America Super Nintendo model looked that great, like, I don't know who would really want that. Like I would much more preferred an NES, but I don't know how you would do an NES, and that, I guess, might be the reason why they didn't do it. The unit itself, the new 3DS, is coming out for $200, which, man, that is a lot. That is a lot to give to a kid, which I assume you're mostly doing with a 3DS. and it includes Super Mario Kart for the Super NES Virtual Console. So it doesn't even include the modern Mario Kart game. I would think if you're going to give away Super Mario Kart on the Virtual Console, why not also give away the modern Mario Kart on the Virtual Console too? Or, you know, if you're really selling it like that, why not ensure that it has at least most, if not all, the games that come on the Super NES Classic on the 3DS? Moving on, there is yet another fighting game called Million Arthur Arcana Blood that has an opening movie. It's coming out November 21st in Japan. Let's watch this movie and see how it goes. It's from Team Arcana. It's a fighter. I am noticing that this fighter, at least in the trailer, is a lot more zoomed in on characters and not showing any life bars or anything. So either it's been zoomed in to hide all of that stuff that may not be ready to be announced, or let's see. All the characters look like they're a bunch of anime figures. So none of them seem even recognizable to me, but they all seem to be magic users of some sort. And because this trailer is in Japanese and it's showing their name under it, it feels like they're probably introducing these characters for the first time. Keep drawing cards. Desperately trying to get a single pirate or two. Yeah, getting a daily quest as a new player to play 10 pirates is a death sentence. It really is. I have to applaud this trailer at the very least. For a Japanese trailer, opening trailer, it actually bothered to show what at least looks like a lot of actual gameplay. And that's not typical. Usually it's maybe just animated for this trailer video with nothing to indicate what the gameplay even looks like. That happens more often than you would think in Japanese games. Let's see. And then do this. And then play this. This is a weird game. It's called Kaiji JB Herald no Jigenbo Manhattan Requiem. Is coming out for the Switch on October 26th in Japan, and it looks like a detective noir story in Japanese, which is interesting. 24-year-old pianist Sarah Shields was found dead falling from the 25th floor of the apartment window. The cause of death was a fractured skull and horrific impact. With no evidence of foul play, and active suicide was the best explanation, but J.B. Harold thinks otherwise. He received a letter from Sarah beforehand. The famous detective heads towards the New York City to find the truth. Interesting. It's got sap. Let's see, Manhattan Requiem, which was first launched on PC 88 PCs, which are not modern PCs at all, is the second entry. Well, it was released on the PC 88 in 1987 or 67. I think 87. 87 makes more sense. People want computer gaming in the 60s. The second entry in the Kaiji JB Herald series is going to be released. The first entry, Murder Club, was first launched on the PC 88 in 86 and was released for Switch in August. Wow. So this is a really, really old Japanese game. Like, that never came over to the West, and so I suspect you probably won't come over again, but interesting nonetheless. Need more pirates to play. And what's so funny about this game is if you just took off the Japanese text and made this in English, it would look like, well, I guess an old PC game in English. Yeah. Moving on to the next bit of news. One Piece Pirate Warriors 3 Deluxe Edition is announced for Switch, out December 21st in Japan. I believe this is probably a Warriors game where you play as the characters of One Piece, and it's probably just a deluxe edition of something that's already come out. It's a Switch port of the 2015 PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3 game. Let's see. Draw a card. Seriously, give me every card you've got. Thanks, game. Well, I have certainly done everything. I've played all the cards I could play, but it wasn't very many. The Switch version will be playable in 1080p TV mode and 720 in tablet mode or handheld modes. It runs at 30 frames per second across all three modes. Users can play two-player co-op if they have two sets of Joy-Cons, but not a single set of Joy-Cons. Unlike the PlayStation counterpart, the Switch version will not support online co-op. That's really weird about it. Like, here's a Switch port of a game, but we're not giving you the online co-op part. And I don't know who wants to play this game other than hardcore One Piece fans, and little kids I don't think are going to be the One Piece fans. But it is a One Piece thing, and so they're going to sell as many versions as they can about that. Let's see. Let's get into that news a little bit later. Gran Turismo Sport finishes off first in the UK charts, which is to say that Forza 7, it sold nearly 3 times as many copies as Forza 7 at launch. So I guess if you want to play a racing game, Gran Turismo Sport should be the one you consider. I played 4 out of 10 Pirates, and that was like the maximum. So this is going to take 2 more games to get this done. I've also noticed a bug on the European and Asian accounts where it seems like it only shows me one pop-up of one daily quest being completed, but it does record the others. So I very possibly will have to go back and check how much progress I've made on daily quests in between games. Let's see. The top 10 for the week of games was Gran Turismo Sport in number 1, FIFA 18, and this is for the UK, South Park in 3rd, WWE 2K18, that's a garbage game and still it sells. Middle Earth Shadow War, that is very pathetic for Middle Earth Shadow War. They should be very upset with how they handled that release, because it should have been in first place. Evil Within 2, Destiny 2. Okay, now Destiny 2 should also take note that they are failing to release that game in what I think is the right way. I think they're early access baiting all the content to the point where there won't be any hype when it actually comes out of early access. GTA 5 is still in 8th place, which is weird. Forza Motorsport is in 7th. In 9th place. So that's really horrible. And then the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, which I don't think is even a new game. Maybe it just came to the UK. Let's see. Do I want to do 2 damage or do I want to sap this guy? What if I sapped my own guy and I can't sap my own guy? That's an odd chart. What week was this? This was October 23rd when it was published. So that might have been last week's chart. Moving on. There's this game I'm going to have to look at called Air, A-E-R, Memories of Old, which, is it an actual game? Or is it just... Let's see. Developed by a Swedish game studio, Forgotten Key, over the course of 5 years. It's clearly a passion project. Using the phrase passion projects in your articles is bad writing and bad reporting. This is from the mirror.co.uk. And when it comes to UK newspapers, like, I can never recall which ones are the legitimate ones and which ones are the bad ones, if there are any legitimate ones left. Some of them put up straight up lies and garbage, I know, but I'm sure people outside of the United States could say the exact same thing with the United States news reporting and newspapers and sites. It's way too much work to vet your news sources. When does this game come out? That's all I really want to know. When does it come out, or is it out, and where do I buy it? See. And this is why I usually don't look at games until on other websites, because there's so much work you have to do to figure out there's really a lot of work to figure out where the link is, where the release date is placed. All the actual facts and news you would want in an article are hidden, usually somewhere in the middle or at the bottom of an article. So apparently this game releases October 25th for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. It's going for about £14, which will be roughly about $28, maybe $20 these days. And apparently Mirror puts its reviews on OpenCritic, and there's been a lot of talk of OpenCritic, and I hope it's something that can compete against the Metacritic idea, and I guess we need more competition in and review combining, like what OpenCritic and Metacritic does. But I also kind of wonder if this is just the next big fad thing and people are going to talk about OpenCritic for a very short time and then forget about it. Let's keep on playing. That is one I want to play though, so see what happens when I click the link. Yeah, that does bring up a Steam page. I think I already talked about this article, so I don't think there's anything new to say here. It's just looking at Capcom Puzzle Fighter and seeing if it would actually succeed on, I think it's a PC game too, even though it looks like it's a port from a cell phone game. Next bit of news, we have a game called Vaz coming out for the Switch with a physical edition with controller support, coming out January 25th in Japan. Deal 1 damage and draw a card. Let's see, what do I want to do? And attack. So apparently this game has been downloaded 45,000 times, which is a small number for a AAA game, but a probably huge number for a niche game. I'm looking at the graphics and I kind of need to see more before I can be certain, and yet all it has is this one picture, so let's see. So I think if I click this button, we'll see a different picture, and this picture is totally different. And I guess the game has already come out, but it's a musical game. And see, that's the part they're not even properly selling their own game. Like, when I have to look and search extra just to figure out what's going on. So it's a musical game, so with some anime character animations, it seems. So it's getting a physical edition and controller support, which probably will help quite a bit, because I wouldn't really want to play a touchscreen game in a musical game. More things coming to the Switch, man. It feels like almost all the announcements this today have been about games coming to the Switch. Six V's is coming out for the Switch on November 17th on the eShop for $10. About $10. It runs at 60 frames per second. It's a very low quality graphics game, but I think it is a high difficulty platformer, and so there's kind of a combination there. I'm pretty sure it got pretty good reception. I've heard of this game, that is to say, but it certainly doesn't look like it's anything that would appeal to me. And draw a card. I've got one more card to play. Star Wars Battlefront 2's campaign is 5 to 7 hours long. Again, I probably, if I ever get around to playing Battlefront 2, will only play the single player, which is fine. Like a 5 to 7 hour single player experience when I get the game and it's on sale doesn't seem too bad. Now, I would argue with PC Gamer's subtitle here that says EA doesn't want to drag it out. Clearly, what EA wants is to bring in people who are more interested in story and single player, and then heavily push them to play the multiplayer and do microtransactions and get more money. Here's a video of somebody building a NES case to put a computer in. Let's see. Do I have any pirates or anything? Needed to cast a spell, and that was as good as anything. I guess I could have given my weapon lifesteal first. So now I should have done 8 of 10 pirates. And there should be another one that says I played some spells, but that's not working. So they modded a Fantex Intho Evolve ITX Mini case. Which, wow, that does not look like anything close to what it ends up as. They actually did a very large amount of modding. It's not just a paint job. We need more pirates. 2 more pirates. I'd be interested in a modded computer case that looks like a Nintendo, but it wouldn't be the right kind of case for my use. A mini ITX case is not what I need. Honestly, I need a big old server case that has at least like 16 hot swap bay drives on the front of it, which are very expensive. We have Daring on the chat. He goes, "Yo, I have a question. Do you know how stocks work?" Yes. Here's how stocks work. They're gambling. Don't get into stocks. That's the real solution there. Particularly if you're thinking about day trading or anything like that. Like, don't even... stocks, to be more realistic, stocks are the theoretical open market value of a portion of a company. So if you have, say, Nintendo, which is not a actual stock, not an actual stock that's traded in the US stock markets. I should have attacked first and then gained stealth. Nintendo, let's say it sells 100 shares of its company, or 100 stocks, stocks, kind of the same words. So you then theoretically own one. If you buy 1 share of Nintendo, you own 1/100th of Nintendo. If you owned 51% of all the available shares, in this case 51 shares of Nintendo, you would have the controlling vote on the on any votes brought up at shareholders meetings or stock meetings. that that occur usually annually unless they call a special meeting, and you would be able to uh, have the swing vote on anything that they bring up to a vote. Now, there's a lot of tricks that can be done, and so that the board of a company still maintains control of the company while still selling away parts of a company. Uh, so the board pretty much designs the things that are the questions and the votes that are put on a stock shareholders ballot. And these shareholders ballots go out through the mail to shareholders. So if you were somebody who wanted to bring up a vote for something else, you would have to actually go to the shareholders meeting and be there in person, and then they still may very well find ways to block you from bringing up anything to the vote. Also, the board has control of what the default recommendation is on the shareholders ballot. So a lot of people just vote on what the board does, unless it's a company that everybody is really mad at the board and they want them out of the place. So there's a lot of rich people on the board that are really controlling the company, even if they legally don't have the control. And at a certain point, it can really break down to having to sue a company to actually gain control of the board or gain a seat on the board and attempt to do what they call a hostile takeover because you actually own it. Ubisoft is right now, and has been for several years, in danger of being hostilely taken over by Vivendi, which is a company that Napoleon actually set up for his cousin, I believe is the story. And so it was this government endorsed monopoly that became a huge company. And Vivendi is a horrible company, and so even though Ubisoft is a horrible company, it wouldn't be any better if it was under Vivendi control. Vivendi controls many of the movies and TV stations and TV shows that get made. So that's really what stocks were for. It's about companies gaining money by selling parts of their company while secretly really just doing a lot of tricks to not lose control of their company, but still kind of gambling and rolling the dice that they might actually lose control of their company. And it does happen on rare occasions. Then the secondary thing that most people know more about the stocks is, in theory, if the board approves it, stocks can be dividends, can pay out dividends, which is to say that if a company makes money, every time the company makes money, it pays some of that profit to the stockholders instead of paying it just to the board and the employees, or just keeping that money in its banks for use later. Apple, I believe, is a great example of a company that I don't believe does pay out dividends, and in part that is the reason why Apple has a lot of cash and can buy a lot of other companies and do whatever it wants to. So you could own stocks that pay dividends, you can own stocks that don't pay dividends. As a side note, bonds are government loans where you buy like $100 bond for 5 years and you may only pay $50 up front, but if you wait 5 years it becomes $100, and they're government backed. You're loaning money to the government type thing, and they're considered generally safer, unless of course you are of the opinion that the government that's selling the bonds might default and not pay back or go bankrupt, which for the United States government is not a major concern. So then there was the whole secondary thing is that the stock markets came about, and the idea has been developed almost to a religious level that stocks, even if they don't pay dividends, have some value, and they, I guess, do, but I'm not sure that value is anywhere near what you would actually, what it actually trades at. Because there's a lot of hype, a lot of lies, a lot of trickery done to overinflate the value of a stock to get people to buy and sell them at much higher amounts than they probably are worth. Right now, the U.S. stock market, the Dow, the Nasdaq, feel to me way overinflated. They're at the highest they've ever been, and almost certainly we are going to see a point in which things are the stock markets crash, or they start to go down from their highs. It's not gonna just like one day go up a little and then one day go down a little. It's either going to be a controlled decline till we lose a significant portion of the valuation of the stock markets, or it's just going to go it's just going to crash in like 1 or 2 days, which with it might happen, but they've also put a lot of rules and regulations to stop crashes from happening, so they're definitely trying to avoid that. Also, it's the last time we had the stock markets really high, there was a lot of room for fraud, and that's where I think his name was Bernie Madoff was able to defraud a lot of people, a lot of rich people, by simply guaranteeing rates of returns that were unrealistic in a pyramid scheme, which is all he was really doing. Let's see. I need to play a bunch of spells, so I'm going to get rid of this. And I imagine as the times are good, at least in the stock market, that more schemes like that are going to be tried to be played. And then the other issue about stocks is this level of gambling in the stock markets, and I really have to insist on calling it gambling, is encouraged and pushed upon people who do not have the money to be gambling. If you're a person, for example, who makes less than $40,000 a year, and you went to Las Vegas and you placed a $40,000 bet on black on the roulette table, that is not good at all. That is not smart. That is ridiculous. That is a bad move altogether. However, if you're a person who's made $40,000 a year and you've been saving up and putting money into your 401k retirement or any kind of retirement fund that has stocks in it, and you have $40,000 in your stock portfolio, your retirement portfolio, all in stocks, because sometimes it is mixed between stocks and bonds and maybe some commodities and some other things, you are effectively gambling still. You're still putting it on black. The guaranteed money would be to put it in a savings account in a bank that is FDIC insured up to $1 million. And if you have more than $1 million in a savings account, you probably should put it in a different bank in a different savings account. And then if you really don't trust the FDIC insurance to pay for any banks that might go out of business or crash, then I guess you would put it in banks in other countries that you do trust, or you just put it under your mattress. Stocks inherently, to make an extremely long story shorter, are fictional values on companies that use tricks. One of the things they do is general accounting, which eliminates all of their debts basically from their accounting, so they always look like they're in profit when they really aren't. Uh, Generally approved accounting is, I think, what it's called. Uh, Instead of real accounting, which would have the books show your debts as part of that. But yeah, it's a bunch of people gambling. Stock traders are gambling. They're gambling with your 401ks. It's not incredibly. It may be a little paranoid to say you shouldn't have a 401k. I find often that people can't save unless it's just automatically taken out of their paycheck. And so putting it into a 401k that you can't touch without major penalties might be the best solution for you. And that you, generally in your own 401k, you can pick between a few different portfolios, and the high risk, low risk, medium risk, no risk portfolios are available. If you're really young and do want to just gamble with a 401k, it's probably better than going to Vegas and putting it all on black. So maybe you put a third of your 401k in the high risk, and maybe you put a third in medium risk and a third in low risk. Just knowing that there's a chance that you might lose all of that. But playing the stock markets yourself is going to accrue you all kinds of trading fees, and you're not going to make any money in the long run. Just go ahead and squelch this guy. The sad thing is, retirement accounts are designed to take advantage of people who don't understand how stocks work, and they also help people who don't have any stocks, don't have any knowledge on how stocks work a little bit. The average United States citizen has less than one paycheck in their savings account. So if you don't have at least 6 months, and in my opinion, they say 6 months, but I would recommend you should have a year and a half worth of paychecks saved in a savings account that you could draw out of immediately. And before that, it's probably a good idea to pay off any debt, any school loans, anything like that, or get rid of debt by going bankrupt, which is often a underused but very helpful process. Since in U.S. schools you're not taught any kind of money management, you're very set up to immediately go to college and get college loans and debt, immediately get credit cards and spend it, and just like I'm surprised it's not 100% of all college age kids are in debt and should be going bankrupt. But they also demonize bankruptcy and lie about it. The banks do, and rich people do, so that people refuse to go bankrupt when they should. I've seen lots of people who are hugely in debt, but they won't give up. It's kind of like a bad marriage. They'll just stick with it and pay the minimums forever, even though they have no chance of paying it out. But to finish up the solution, if you don't know how stocks work, you now know that they're gambling and you shouldn't touch them and you shouldn't do it. What you should do is pay off any debt, put all the money you can in the savings. If you really have a year and a half worth of savings in your savings account after that point, and you don't need any more cash that you might need to pull out to buy put down as a down payment on a house or buy a car completely brand new out of cash. If you're that rich and that well off, then you can get what they call a Roth IRA if you're young, which is an investment retirement account, which is like a 401k account from many banks. and you can uh, put money into that, and then the bank handles what stocks they buy and what they do. And often, if you buy a IRA or retirement account from a bank, you'll actually be buying a significant amount of stocks in that bank's company. So if you buy an IRA from like Bank of America, your portfolio might be a third of it might be Bank of America stocks itself, which is probably not the wisest move. But there's a company that's the main company called Fidelity that also does 401ks for people, and that's usually what your employer will do for you. But definitely don't play penny stocks. Don't try to do day trading. Don't try to do any of that. You're not going to make money. You're better off trying to make money on Steam trading cards or skins for Counter-Strike Go. And all of these are really scam, like day trading and things. It's like you're better off just flipping burgers at a McDonald's. Similarly, I wouldn't buy gold unless you're really rich and you just want an actual bar of gold that was under your bed. Like, I wouldn't buy jewelry. Jewelry is hugely inflated in value. If you think the world's coming to an end and we're heading towards like a zombie apocalypse, you should probably buy guns and bullets, food, dehydrated milk, things like that. Well, that was a bit of a rant. Back to video game news. Destiny 2 won't have a Halloween event this year, which gets right back to what I was saying, where I feel like Destiny 2 is just half releasing in this early access state, where when it finally does feel like it is ready for release, I don't think anybody's going to really care about it. People seem to barely even care about it now. Rockstar did not think GTA 5 single-player expansions were either possible or necessary, but they are thinking about doing that in Red Dead Redemption, which is just more confirmation of what we've already heard, that Rockstar has really no intention of doing anything more with GTA 5 as long as GTA Online is making money. It's kind of silly. Like, you have Rockstar on one hand that says we're not gonna do anything until we stop making money for GTA Online. You have Bethesda on another hand that says we're not doing anything with the Elder Scrolls until we stop making money on Elder Scrolls Online. It's definitely a trend. Like, online now has gotten to the point where it is clearly a hindrance to single player storyline developed games. EA says that they won't make that Star Wars game and as a single player unless it has some online microtransaction elements, or at least that's what it sounded like they were saying. And who knows what they're going to come back and say what they were saying meant. Let's see. Freeze. This. Here I have a Twitter account I'm gonna mute because they put articles out for point and click adventures, but their articles don't add any links or anything. And that's adventuregamers.com. Nothing personally against them, but their articles are just not helpful. And Ono Studios, the creators of Tormentum Dark Sorrow, which is one of the games that is airing pre-recorded on my channel, retweeted me. Okay, thank you. The game I played is of theirs is got some problems, but it was all right. Slightly video game related. Newegg is being sued by 4 banks in, I believe, Korea for an alleged conspiracy and Ponzi scheme. There was this Korean company that made surround sound receivers that got a order from Newegg for a bunch of receivers, and then that order was used as proof to get loans from those 4 banks by the by the company that makes the surround sounds. So now they're trying to get their money back, $230 million owed in fraudulent loans, and this will be interesting to see if they win in this case or not, or if New can say the orders we sent were legitimate, so we're not responsible for that. In the end, I imagine Newegg's not going to go out of business or anything. So, because today is Monday, this daily quest doesn't need to be done. So we can move over to the Asian account. Maybe I'll trade this out and see if I can get something higher tomorrow. And we're just kind of set. We've also been going over 45 minutes, so in a rare instance, because I still have some news to talk about, we are going to make a 4th recording, which I really do not need 4th recordings on Hearthstone streams. I'm already way ahead, but whatever. That's going to happen. If you're watching this recorded, well, if you're watching this live, stay tuned. Otherwise, if you're watching it recorded, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.